Husband, 36 years old, and I, 39 years old, have been together for 12 years, 8 married, and have a 2-year-old. In the beginning, we talked about being a child-free couple, and that was fine with me. When infection 19 hit, I took a look at my life and saw that we both have stable jobs, didn't have any grand plans to buy a house or change professions, and thought that a child wouldn't really interfere with whatever life plans we had or would have. We talked at length about trying to conceive and how a child would give us a different experience out of our lives that seemed already so settled. In the next 6 months, I got pregnant 3 times. The first was an anembryonic pregnancy. The egg gets fertilized and implants into the uterus but doesn't develop into an embryo. The next month, I got pregnant but had a miscarriage at 10 weeks. It was easily the worst day of my life. Then the very next month, I got pregnant again, and 39 weeks later, we had our baby boy. The first 3 months were a whirlwind of sleep deprivation and chaotic days with me crying and the baby not nursing properly. He was admitted with jaundice for lack of feeding, had a tongue tie, and torticollis. It was one of the most challenging periods of our lives. We spent a lot on medical bills. We didn't have any support from family or friends. We have a cleaning lady who comes in once a week. Our baby boy was one of those who would fuss for over an hour to get down for a nap, just to rest for 30 to 40 minutes, and would only sleep while nursing. I was fully on baby duty and exhausted. My husband was the one doing the groceries, most of the meals, doing the dishes, and laundry. I went back to work at 7 months. We decided to hire a nanny. My husband rose to the occasion and took care of the baby by himself on weekends and holidays. I am an essential worker who works on the subway and have a work schedule of 3 days in and 2 days off. Sometimes the 3 days in are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know this is hard on him because he's all by himself with our son until the nanny arrives, or for most of the weekend. I work a 10-hour shift from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m. To ease things for him, when I arrive, I take the shortest shower you've ever seen, don't wash my hair on weekends, and take on baby duty until bedtime when he comes in and reads a book. Fast forward 2 years, and things have improved a ton. A 2-year-old is such a different child. He's so smart, asks for whatever snacks he wants, has his favorite books, is learning how to ride a balance bike, and even states when he is tired and needs a rest. He takes 2 to 2.5 hour long naps. Yay! I feel that motherhood has changed me a lot, for the better. I'm in awe of how he's developing, how much his vocabulary is improving by the day, and how smart and fun and funny he is. He has the sweetest voice, gives the warmest of hugs, and has the best laughter. I'm so in love, so infatuated with this tiny human that I made. So the fairy of motherly amnesia knocked on my door, and I started talking about having a second baby. When I said this, his first response was, "I still don't know if I want our first one. I can't imagine a second." His wording was so strange to me. He's the best of dads. Not only does he pull his weight around the house, he is also so caring and fun with our son. I appreciate him so much. I always say what a good husband and father he is. As the days went by, I tried talking about the topic of a second child with different approaches, asking what he thinks having a girl would be different than having a boy, if he likes the names Andre and Lavinia, and whether we would get pregnant easily again. Well, the other day, I was playing with our son in the living room, just soaking up how amazing he is, and said something like, "How incredible is he?" When I think about living a whole life without getting to know him, I realize now how much I would miss having this opportunity, living these moments, and wouldn't even know it. Because there's no way you can actually know what this is like. I wouldn't have lived a sad life or felt anything lacking, but this is a better life. He then said something along the lines of, "I miss my old life. I miss waking up naturally. The baby wakes up at 6 a.m. at the latest. I miss having me time, miss being alone in the house and watching a 3-hour-long documentary, miss not spending so much money, not having to go grocery shopping all the time, and not being so tired every day." I said that I missed some of it too, but understood that all these changes were transitory, that things have improved so much in 2 years, and he's growing up so fast. In no time, we would have that life back. that in the grand scheme, we would be more parents of an adult than parents of a toddler or child. That in a few years, we would objectively have the same life as his brother and sister-in-law, who don't want kids. He said that just because it would look like the same life doesn't mean it would feel the same. Yes, in 20 years, we'll be driving the same route, but we took different paths to get there. For sure, his brother's path had way less stress, fewer worries, with more freedom and money. Once you're a parent, there's no looking back. You are forced to live a very different life. I love our son. He's smart and very cute, but I would take it back. I think my brother's life will be smoother, with a ton of sleep, freedom, and overall happier. I just stood there processing his words. I love our life. I mistakenly thought that because we are a couple, we were living and feeling the same things. I know I am seeing life through rose-colored glasses, that maybe he didn't think all of it was so endearing, but I never thought that our views were drastically different. Later that day, I apologized for trying to push the subject of a second baby. I said that I hadn't realized that he viewed things this way, and understood now that for him another child was a hard no. I wouldn't bring up the topic again. He said, "Thank you." I don't know if I should bring this conversation up again and try to understand better what he said. I see him laughing and complimenting our child and question whether it is genuine or not. I believe actions are louder than words. He's being his typical self, very loving, always kissing us, cooking our favorite dishes, and making plans to travel to a farm hotel so our son can meet some animals, but his words shook me. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Gently responding to his, "I don't know if I want the first one," with a baby name discussion, is not the most aware thing you could have done. Him being a great dad doesn't mean he isn't conflicted about having a child. It just means he has empathy and is able to separate the knowledge that he was reluctant to have a child from the fact that there is a child here now who needs and deserves love and affection. He's not punishing your son for his emotional turmoil. He should probably talk to someone, not you, to work through these feelings. Comment 2. As someone who had a child with a person whose job has him working nights, evenings, and weekends, leaving me alone a lot, I got so mad when he tried to persuade me to have another. The weekends alone with a child, in my case especially the toddler years, were incredibly lonely and hard. I would see families out doing things all together, and I was always struggling alone. We hardly ever did anything as a family. Now for the update. Just over a week since my last post, and wow, things got crazy after a family dinner at my in-laws' house. It started off pretty normal, I guess. We were all sitting around the table, enjoying some home-cooked food, and I was doing my usual chit-chat with my mother and father-in-law, trying to keep the conversation light and fun. But then I noticed my husband. He was just sitting there, not really engaging with anyone, staring off into space like he was on another planet or something. I even tried to get him to join in on the conversation, but he just kind of grunted and went back to his zone-out mode. So that was fun. Then, right in the middle of me talking about how our son is obsessed with dinosaurs, my mother-in-law says, "Wouldn't it be great to have another grandchild?" And the room went silent. Well, not really. But my husband tensed up so hard at the mention of another baby that I thought he might snap a chair leg or something. I mean, how does she not know that he doesn't want another kid? Anyway, after dinner, I tried to bring up the topic of a second baby again, thinking maybe this time he'd be more receptive, but nope. He cut me off, saying he needed time to think. Time to think? Dude, it's been 3 months? The next day, I found a text from him on my phone. It was weird because it was like he was texting someone else and sent it to the wrong person, asking if I'd mind giving him space to process everything. I mean, I get that he's going through stuff, but come on, we're supposed to be a team here. A few days later, I went to a birthday party for our neighbor's kid, and man, did I feel out of place without my husband. I was surrounded by happy couples and their adorable kids, and it was like a punch to the gut. I couldn't help but think about how my life used to be like that, and how now, even though I love our son, I just feel stuck. When I got home from the party, my husband was still distant. We barely spoke to each other, and it was like living with a ghost. I decided to make his favorite dinner, hoping that maybe some good food would lighten the mood and spark a conversation. But nope. He ate quietly, barely making eye contact, and as soon as the plate was empty, he was back to his wall of silence. I brought up the party and asked if he was okay, but he snapped at me, saying he needed more than just dinner to feel better. So, a week goes by, and I get this group text from his family planning a weekend getaway to celebrate his father's retirement. I thought it would be nice to bring our son, but my husband immediately shot me down, saying it was a family-only trip. I mean, I get that it's for the family, but our son is part of our family too. It just felt really dismissive, you know? So I ended up going on the trip alone with our son while my husband stayed home. At the retirement party, I overheard my sister-in-law talking about a big surprise that my husband was planning for the family. Turns out, he was planning a family vacation without us. He said it was a chance for him to reconnect with his siblings. But come on, how are you going to reconnect with your siblings when your wife and kid are sitting at home feeling like garbage? When I confronted him about it, he said it was important for him to have time away to think and recharge. I asked if he was considering leaving the family, and he said he needed to figure out what he wanted. The next day, I found out he had been meeting with friends from his old life, planning outings without me or our son. I was so upset that I confronted him again, and he got all defensive, saying I was suffocating him and needed to let him breathe. So, we made this agreement to take a break from discussing our future, thinking it'd help ease the pressure on both of us. But honestly, it was like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. A few days after that, I discovered he was still texting his friends late at night, and that felt like a major betrayal of our commitment. I confronted him about the late-night messages, leading to another argument where he claimed I was being paranoid. Finally, he revealed that he was unsure about wanting more children and now felt trapped in his role as a parent. He packed a bag one night after another heated discussion, saying he needed some time away to think. And that was it. I watched him leave. Edit. After my husband left, he returned a few days later to talk. He admitted he felt overwhelmed and thought the break would help. We discussed his need for space and his struggle with parenting. He agreed to couples counseling, promising to focus on our family. We're taking it one step at a time. But am I the idiot for serving divorce papers to my cheating wife at Thanksgiving dinner in front of her armed family? Backstory is that I've been married to this woman, Becky, for 4 years now. 3 weeks ago, she meant the world to me. I would have done just about anything for Becky, but now I don't even see her as a human. I've always wanted a family, and she knew this before we got married. She also had the same goals in life for us. After getting married, she decided that she didn't want to be a mother, and I was hurt, but accepted her decision. We purchased a small farm after getting married, and Becky decided that would be her full-time job. We really were blessed to be living the beautiful life that we were living. Becky wants a thoroughbred horse for 6 figures. No problem. Becky wants to import a herd of Brahman cows because regular cows look boring. No problem. Becky wants a brand new diesel truck every year to drive into town. No problem. I had no issue providing all of these things because I knew her first love was taking care of animals. I knew that's what made her happy. A few weeks ago, her best friend Emily wanted to know if I was available to meet her because she wanted to tell me something. I figured that she had a surprise for Becky and wanted my help or something. Emily came over to the house when Becky was away and basically handed me a file with the evidence of my soon-to-be ex-wife's affair. Becky had been having a full 8-month affair with the married veterinarian. Emily and Becky have been best friends for over 10 years, so Becky tells her everything. Emily let me look over the file and then told me about the affair. The highlights of the affair were that it was with someone who bills me hourly for thousands of dollars. The same man I see in church, where my father-in-law is the pastor, shakes my hand while his wife and I are clueless. Becky and he sleep together in what is supposed to be our house daily. Almost every time Becky goes on a trip, it's with her lover and not her friends. Becky deliberately sent me 2 states away to pick up a trailer so she could have the house to herself and her lover. All the new girly clothes and heels are for this man and not me. The icing on the cake is that Becky is currently pregnant with her lover and not me. I know this because she admitted it all through text to Emily. She admitted to keeping the truth hidden from me. Emily also knows Becky had a conversation with her parents, who are supposed to be very high-ranking religious people in our little town. Her father, who's the pastor, encouraged his daughter to keep the truth hidden about everything to protect their image. The worst part is I was so excited about this news, and now my friends and family know. I can't believe someone can be this evil to do something like this. Becky has already started to set the room and make changes to the house. The thing is that it's been weeks since I found out about this. I've used that time to get my ducks in a row for divorce. She has zero idea that I know what's going on behind my back. I also took this time to confirm and get video evidence of the affair. I've already hired my divorce lawyer, who's not even from our town. Luckily, my state isn't a community property state. According to my lawyer, I will probably come out pretty well, especially with all the evidence we have on her. I've already had a listing agent look at the house and the farm and give me an idea of what I can get for it. My question is about my plan for ending this. For Thanksgiving, we usually have a big service at her father's church. I want to look into her father and mother's eyes and have them lie to me about their daughter. My plan is to have the divorce papers served at my ex-in-law's house right before dinner. Her entire family will be there, from siblings to grandparents to friends, including Emily. After she is served and realizes what is going on, will be my time to leave. My best friend doesn't think this is a great idea. I think he's looking after my safety since most of her family carry firearms, and he doesn't want me to be outnumbered. Personally, I don't think I'll be in any harm. The other less exciting option is just to do this at our house and see what happens from there. Not sure which route to go down. After this is over, I plan on leaving this town and not looking back. Now for an update. As for why Emily is turning on her, I believe it's jealousy. Emily isn't married and isn't that well off financially. Emily could have told me 8 months ago, but waited all this time. I'm not sure what to think. If all this sounds scattered, I apologize. My mind is all over the place and lacking sleep. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Can't wait for part 2 of this completely fabricated story. I bet you return to your hometown and run into a girl from high school who turned attractive, became wealthy, sold a business, and is now running a stationery store across from the coffee shop where you've been going every morning. Comment 2. I'm so sorry. Your wife is unfaithful. I think I would not attend Thanksgiving dinner. Go somewhere on a mini vacation, visit a friend, protect yourself from further chaos. If possible, have your wife served with divorce papers at church. You owe nothing to any of these people. Now for the update. A month has passed since the Thanksgiving dinner where I confronted Becky and her family. I served Becky divorce papers in front of her parents, which led to a chaotic scene. I wish I could say that things have gotten better, but honestly, it's just been a wild ride of dealing with the aftermath. The dinner started out semi-normal, but the tension was super obvious. My plan was to wait until after dinner, but I got so worked up that I just ended up handing over the papers right away. I told her I knew everything, and she needed to sign these. I swear I thought her dad was going to try to hit me. Like, hell no, dude. You're not going to intimidate me in my own town. He tried to get all up in my face, like I was scared of him. The whole dinner turned into a shouting match. Becky was like, "What are you talking about? What affair?" I kept asking her if she thought I was dumb enough to not know. Then right when Becky is finally admitting to it, Emily shows up out of nowhere. I mean, what a time. The place was already crazy with all the yelling, and then Emily just makes it worse. So while she's there, Becky finally admits to the affair but says the pregnancy is a lie. I guess she thought that would make things better. I told her I didn't care if the vet had knocked her up or not. She was still going to sign the papers. I stayed with a friend in a nearby town for a while to clear my head. I went home a few days later to collect my stuff. The atmosphere at the farm felt eerie, with reminders of Becky everywhere. I discovered a letter from Becky hidden in our shared office. I don't think I'm ever going to read that letter, though. I decided to sell the farm, listing it with a local realtor. I received several interested buyers, which made the transition feel real. A week later, I attended a local auction for estate sales, hoping to distract myself. At the auction, I bumped into Emily, who seemed to be looking for something specific. We started talking about the aftermath of the Thanksgiving incident. She revealed that she had been in a relationship with the veterinarian before Becky. I couldn't believe that she would get involved with him again, knowing what he was like. I confronted Emily about her motives for revealing the affair. She insisted she acted out of concern for me, not jealousy. I don't know what to think about that. She said she couldn't be with him if he was cheating on her, but I had no idea why she still wanted to be with him in the first place. I decided to take a road trip, hoping to put distance between myself and the farm. During the trip, I visited a small town and stumbled upon a local art gallery. I chatted with one of the employees there, and we exchanged numbers. It felt nice to have a bit of a distraction and a glimmer of hope for future connections. Back home, I learned from the realtor that an interested buyer was pulling out. The buyer cited issues with the farm's history, hinting at the affair's impact on the property sale. I decided to seek advice from a financial advisor about managing debts tied to the farm. The advisor encouraged me to explore rental options to generate income while selling. So yeah, that's been my life lately. Just a big mess of trying to get out from under all this. Edit. The letter from Becky revealed that the pregnancy was real and she had a baby unaliving. She claimed she did it to protect our marriage. I still don't know what to think about that. Am I the idiot for finally telling my husband to clean up his act, or I'm out? I, a 35-year-old woman, have been married to my husband, a 37-year-old man, for 5.5 years, and we have an 18-month-old daughter. We have generally had a good marriage, but have repeatedly had the same 2 arguments for over 3 years. The first argument is that I work full-time, pay 85% of our bills, and do all of the cooking, cleaning, shopping, laundry, and running of the household. He also works full-time, but after work comes home and immediately takes his work clothes off, throws them on the couch in my living room, and goes into the family room to watch YouTube. I have repeatedly asked for help and get the runaround. The second is that he has a small corn addiction and suffers from premature ejaculation. This is an issue in itself, but not our main problem currently. For the last week and a half, I had been running 80 miles an hour getting ready for the holiday this week. I was cleaning the house, washing the bedding in the guest room, cleaning the fridge, and doing all the bits and pieces that you need to do to host family for Thanksgiving. I was also doing all of my daily tasks as well. For example, on a typical day, I wake up, make sure his, mine, and the baby's lunches are packed, make sure she is dressed for daycare, pack my work bag, and drive to work. After work, I drive to the daycare to pick up my daughter, often taking meetings via phone on the commute. I do any errands that need to be done, like grocery shopping, Costco, and pharmacy runs. Come home, immediately breastfeed the baby, start dinner so we can eat once he's home, give the baby a bath, let her play while I clean off the table, do the dishes, clean the kitchen, tidy up, feed her again, get her to sleep, and then finally take a shower myself. These are basic daily tasks, but I don't stop until 9 or 10 at night. Last week I asked again for help, but was told that he needed a break because he is tired. I naturally told him that I never get a break, and I'm tired too, and need help with the house. And if he can't contribute half financially, he can at least contribute half of the cleaning. He shut down and just gave me the silent treatment for 2 days, then asked me if I wanted to go to his mother's house with him and the baby. I said only if he wasn't going to ignore me the whole time. That was the match that lit the fuse. He exploded. Evidently, I have done nothing but complain for the last 3 years. He hates cleaning and isn't going to do it, and that if him contributing is such a big deal, then we should divorce. I asked him to explain what that looks like to him. He said, "I'll get an apartment and sign the house over to you. Refinance it in your name. We'll split custody 50-50 and split her expenses 50-50 as well." He then stormed out of the house and went to his mother's until about 1 in the morning. He again gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. The other day I asked him how his apartment hunting was going, and he said, "What?" I told him I thought he was right. I had been complaining about this for 3 years. I'm miserable, and he's not helping make my life easier. I agreed that divorce is the best option, and that I would rather separate as friends and be good co-parents than grow to hate him and feel stuck in a toxic marriage. He then said, "I only said that to scare you into shutting up." Basically, he attempted to emotionally abuse and manipulate me to get his way. As someone who grew up in a toxic and hurtful childhood, this immediately shut me down emotionally. I look at him and feel nothing. He is now trying to get back in my good graces, bringing flowers and chocolates, and all it does is make me angrier. I need advice. Is the fact that he tried to manipulate me and admitted it a valid reason for me to just want to shut this down? Because I have to be honest, I'm tempted to ruin Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm just angry and reacting out of that, or if I am truly at the end of my rope. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Follow through and give him that divorce. You are already taking care of everything. It will be easier without him in the house with you, and you will at least get a break during his custody time. I am honestly just surprised you had a child with him if this has been a problem for more than 3 years. Comment 2. As I see it, the divorce is coming no matter what. It's just the when that is in question. I would say the sooner the better. As a single mom, you will be paying 100% of the bills and doing 100% of the work, but you will have one less child to do it for. Now for the update. I'm back with some updates on my marriage problems. It's been a crazy time lately. So, it's been about a month since the big argument that started all the drama. After that, I decided to keep my distance from my husband. Not like it was hard, since he was living in the spare room anyway. Thanksgiving was just around the corner, and I was getting ready to take my daughter and head to my parents' place for the holiday. Just me and my little one. I mean, we all know my husband wouldn't be joining us, right? He's been trying to win me over with all these gifts and flowers, but honestly, it's just not working. I'm kind of over that stuff. I just ignored everything he sent and focused on getting ready for the holiday. So, Thanksgiving Day comes and we head to my parents' house. The moment we walked in, they could tell something was off. My parents are pretty observant, so they immediately asked if everything was okay. I played it cool and just said we were going through some stuff. You know, nothing to worry about. That evening, the whole family's over for dinner, and my mom asks why my husband's not there. I made some vague excuse, like, oh, he's working or something. I could feel the eyes on me, though, like everyone wanted to dig deeper. But thankfully, the conversation shifted. Dinner was going fine until my brother made some joke about me being single. Like, yeah, super funny, right? I just laughed it off, but it made me feel all kinds of awkward. Then my sister, Kate, jumped in and started talking about how family gatherings used to include our partners. Total mood unalived. It was like everyone was trying to remind me of what I didn't have. But then my dad started sharing stories about old family traditions, and I kind of got lost in the nostalgia for a bit. After dinner, I helped my mom with the dishes while my dad entertained my daughter. It was nice spending that time with them. When I finished washing the dishes, I noticed my phone was buzzing like crazy. It was my husband asking if I was coming home after the holiday. I just replied with a simple, maybe. That sent him into a passive-aggressive spiral. He started with the comments like, "Oh, how generous of you to consider it. Ugh, so annoying." The next day, I decided to take my daughter to a local park to clear my head. I thought it would be a nice distraction. But guess who I ran into? Yup, my husband. He claimed he was looking for us. What a coincidence. So, things got heated right away. He started accusing me of avoiding him, and I shot back that he hasn't been supportive at all. He tried to apologize for some stuff, but then got all defensive when I brought up our issues. I could see my daughter was getting unsettled, so I was trying to keep my cool. But then she started crying, and he just lost it. He said he couldn't deal with this right now and stormed off. That was a lovely moment, right? A week later, I was at home, and my husband called, demanding to talk. I was like, oh boy, here we go. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop. So he shows up with this long list of his grievances. Like, really? This is what we're doing? I was shocked by the list, to be honest. Some of the stuff was just plain ridiculous, like how I didn't let him watch sports on the weekend. I mean, come on. He also tried to blame me for not having enough family time. I was just like, are you serious? You're the one who's been MIA half the time. Then, of course, we got into another argument about our lack of communication and shared responsibilities. It was a mess. At one point, I just blurted out, maybe I should talk to a divorce lawyer. It caught him off guard. He looked like he was going to faint. He was like, I never meant it when I suggested divorce. I was just frustrated. Yeah, right. The following weekend, I went to my brother's baby shower. It was nice seeing everyone excited about the new arrival. But during the shower, I overheard my husband talking to a family member outside. I couldn't help but listen in. He was complaining about me to others. I was so mad. Like, really? You're gonna trash me to the family? So, I walked outside and interrupted him mid-sentence, demanding to know why he was talking about me. He stumbled over his words, trying to backtrack, but I wasn't letting him off the hook. I told him that our marriage isn't a joke, and I can't tolerate his BS anymore. Then I dropped the news and told him I had consulted with a lawyer and knew my options. The family was watching the whole thing go down. You could feel the tension in the air. I felt empowered, like finally standing up for myself. I announced that I would be staying with my parents for the time being. His face was priceless, like he couldn't believe what I was saying. I just walked away, leaving him standing there with his mouth hanging open. I spent the night at my parents' house, and the atmosphere was just so supportive. They could tell something was up, and it felt good to have their support. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's been a crazy time, and I don't know what's next, but I'm ready for it. Edit. Things have been complicated since my last update. After talking to my parents, I decided to stay with them temporarily. They were supportive and helped me figure out my next steps. I also spoke to a financial advisor to understand my options better. My husband didn't take the separation well initially. He tried to convince me to come back a few times, but I stood my ground. Eventually, he agreed to give me space for our daughter's sake. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.